A volcano on Dice Island has just erupted. Can you make it to the boat? The island reshapes constantly. All players start in the volcanic starting tile. The boat tile is placed on the opposite corner of the map. Players take turns moving in the direction of the boat. The first player to land on the boat tile wins. The game immediately ends when a meeple lands on the spot, not when it passes it by. This board game is formed by taking deconstructed dice which are then used as tiles. Set up the board game according to the number of players. Red tiles contain lava and make the game more challenging. Blue tiles do not contain lava and make the game easier. Checkpoint tiles allow to respawn. Put the tiles freely on the table and make your own custom map. Do not make islands. All pieces must be connected to each other. Squares that are only diagonally touching each other are not considered connected. This also applies during the game. If removing a tile would create an island, then removing that tile is an illegal move. You can try to be creative and make pretty patterns if you so wish. After building the map, one player decides the starting point. Another player decides the end point. Then the other players in order will decide where the checkpoints will go. The player who places the starting point, in this case John, will be last to place the meeple but is also the first player to take a turn. Jenny, the last player, will place the meeple on the board first, then Anthony, then Marie, and finally John, who will play first and start the game. Add checkpoint tokens in the checkpoint tiles corresponding to the number of players. When a meeple lands on this spot, a token is immediately collected. Remember, lands on the spot, not passing it by. If a meeple would die, it gets respawned to the checkpoint tile of the appropriate colored token. While placing the checkpoints, try to place them equidistant to each other, spreading them throughout the map. In Volcanic Dice, the possibilities are endless. You can also get creative and place checkpoints in more non-conventional ways. Players have two options during their turn. 1. Take a tile from the board and add it to your supply. Your turn immediately ends. Remember, when taking something from the board, you cannot create an island. All pieces must be connected, and you cannot take a piece where a meeple is standing. The starting tile, the finishing tile, and the checkpoint tiles cannot be moved or taken from the board. 2. Use one of the deconstructed dice from your supply to move. For this you need to, first, select the tile that you will use. Second, roll the die. Read the result. For example, the player used this tile and rolled a 1. The 1 on the die is associated with 4, so the meeple will move 4 steps. Third, before moving your meeple, place the deconstructed die from your supply back in the map. You can pick literally any spot as long as it is connected with the map. Fourth, walk the corresponding number of steps. The 4 steps are made orthogonally. What happens if you roll lava or sand? As a general rule, avoid picking tiles with lava or sand in them. If you roll a sand icon, you do not move for that turn, but you can take 1 tile from the board and add it to your supply. If you roll a lava icon, you immediately die and you can take 2 tiles from the board and add them to your supply. You will respawn in one of the beginning volcanic tiles or in a checkpoint if you collected a checkpoint token. If you respawn in a checkpoint, you place your checkpoint token back in the appropriate tile. If you don't have tiles in your supply, you cannot move and you must take a tile from the map. If no tile on the map is available and you have no tiles in your supply, then your turn is skipped. Meeples cannot move diagonally. Meeples cannot touch or pass by lava tiles. If during movement a meeple touches the sand icon, the turn ends immediately and the meeple gets stuck in the sand for that turn. If a meeple ends a turn where another one is standing, 2 or more meeples can share the same spot. If a meeple passes by another meeple, the boat tile or a checkpoint tile, nothing happens. To win and to get checkpoint tokens, the meeple must land on the designated spot. A meeple can walk in any direction and go forward and backwards in the same turn, but it must move the corresponding exact number of steps. The meeple is forced to move. If a meeple finishes their turn on a boat tile, the game immediately ends and that player is the winner. Those are all the rules you need to know. Now you can play the game. If you wish to play other game variants, please continue to watch the video. If you wish to see a gameplay example, skip to 10 minutes. In the competitive variant, two meeples cannot occupy the same space. When a meeple would land in a place where another meeple is, he gets bumped. If a meeple gets bumped to lava, it immediately dies, respawns, and gets 2 tiles from the board. If it gets bumped to sand, nothing happens. If it gets bumped to a checkpoint tile with a token, it automatically collects the token. The active player decides where the meeple gets bumped to. Put only 1 checkpoint token in each checkpoint tile. This means only the first player to reach the checkpoint gets that reward. Who said the boat could fit only 1 person? If you are playing a 4 or 6 player game, you can make 2 teams, 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3. With 6 players, the combination 2 versus 2 versus 2 is also possible. The first team to have all their members in the boat wins. If you are playing in the competitive variant, you can use the bumping mechanism to push your allies closer to the boat. Combine all your supplies, sharing dice and resources. The checkpoint tokens and deconstructed dice tiles you collect can be used by your allies. In this mode, there is only 1 meeple on the board. Before starting the game, count the number of steps from the initial volcanic tile to the boat. That number will be your final score, if you manage to survive. When rolling a die, do not put the deconstructed dice back on the board. Try to reach the boat before the whole island falls apart. Players can take turns controlling the single meeple, making it into a co-op experience. When you set up the board, put the tiles with the arrow symbol face down instead of face up. You will still be able to see which tiles contain lava and which ones don't due to the different color in the back. As you move and collect tiles, flip them over, gradually revealing the landscape of the island. The ones that are face down you cannot remove from the board. These are the rules for the basic game. If you own the Will Tracker expansion, then continue to watch the video for the expansion rules. Every player will place a token of their corresponding meeple color in the Will Tracker. If you are playing with the Will Tracker expansion, the following extra rules apply. Every time a meeple finishes a turn in a numbered tile, increase your will by that number. Additionally, if a meeple gets bumped while playing the competitive variant, as a reward it receives will according to the tile it gets bumped to. Spend will to unlock special powers. Jetpack. When moving, go over lava and sand without stopping. +/-1 move, +5 move. When moving, change the number of steps you are supposed to move. You can only land on one spot, once per turn. It is not possible to land in a spot. Collect the reward and then in the same turn move extra steps. Boat. When moving, change the boat location by displacing it to an adjacent spot. The boat must still be connected to another tile. The connecting tile can be a lava tile. Knife. At the beginning or before the end of your turn, kill one adjacent meeple. Attention. You cannot receive the will reward and use the knife in the same turn, since the will reward is always calculated at the end of the turn. At any point during the game, if you die, you can spend your will and prevent it from happening. You do not get 2 free tiles from the board if you use this ability. If you have enough will points, you can trigger different special abilities in the same turn, but your will is capped at 20. The expansion also comes with special tiles that are fixed in place and cannot be removed. You can surround the boat with lava tiles, forcing the players to use the jetpack or to take a longer route. Your imagination is the limit. John, Mary, and Sarah are playing a 3-player game. John has 2 tiles in his supply. Mary has no tiles in her supply. Sarah has 1 tile in her supply. It's John's turn. He wants to create a path for the boat since the way appears to be blocked by lava. Using his tile with 2 lava icons is very risky, so he decides to use his tile with 5 5s. Most likely he will walk 5 steps using that tile. He places it on the map and creates a way for the boat. He is unlucky and rolls a 6, only walking 1 step. If you are playing with the Will Tracker expansion, increase the will of John by 4 points since he landed on a spot with the number 4. These will points can be spent for special abilities, only available with the Will Tracker expansion. It is now Mary's turn. Since Mary has no tiles in her supply, she must take a tile from the board. She decides to take the tile John placed, halting his progress. It is now Sarah's turn. The tile that Sarah possesses has only very high numbers and high probability of getting stuck in sand. She would like to get to the checkpoint, but for that she only needs 2 steps. She decides to take the tile, with 5 2s. The odds will be in her favor. The other tile that she has she can always use later in the game in a more suitable occasion. It's John's turn again. Players continue to make moves until one eventually reaches the boat. Thank you for watching this video and we hope you enjoy Volcanic Dice.